Hey there, MiniWarGamers. The Cooler here from MiniWarGaming with Matt for another Beat the Cooler Batrep. This time we've got 1,500 points of Tomb Kings against Dark Elves.
MiniWarGaming's Beat the Cooler Batrep.
Here we have Matt's 1,500 point Tomb King army. In the front here we've got his Tomb King along with two level 2 Lich Priests. One of them being his Hierophant. Then we've got a large group of Tomb Guard with full command, along with some chariots that do not have command. Then in the back we've got a Necro Sphinx, and then 50 Skeleton Warriors with full command. And that's a 1,500 point Tomb King list. Here we've got my Dark Elves, 1,500 points as well. We've got a Dreadlord with the Crimson Death, Blood Armor, and Pennant of Caliph. A level 2 Sorceress. 34 Spearmen with full command. 2 War Hydras. 10 crossbows with shields, another 10 crossbows with shields, and 5 Cold One Knights. 1,500 points of Dark Elves. And here's the table. We're actually only going to play 4x4. There's just 3 Mysterious Forests placed on it. And we're going to roll off for who deploys first. And here's us doing the deployment. Now, Matt rolled off and wanted to go to deploy his unit first. So he deployed his Tomb Guards, kind of off to the off-center. And I deploy my Spearmen, pretty much opposite to that. And didn't really have a plan. Was just going to run up the middle and figured I could walk through his army. You'll see how that goes. He puts his big block of skeletons in front of mine. Now I place my crossbows in the trees there. Now normally you should actually roll it when they get put in the terrain. We didn't roll it until the beginning of the movement phase, which is more like 40k. Really didn't make any difference though, because it's not like you can get out of it after placing them. He does the same thing for his Sphinx on the other side. Then we've got the chariots lined up against the knights. And the Sphinx on the outer edge. He puts his characters down, and I put my hydras down, and then I place my characters down. So this is the deployment. Pretty much lined right up against one another. The sorceress, he's got all of his characters in that big unit of 50 warriors. So we roll off for who gets first turn. Tomb Kings have +1 because they got their units out first, but the Dark Elves still win. So Dark Elves turn 1. First off, the Knights test for stupidity, which they pass. The crossbows, they find out that it's the forest that on a 4-up, it wounds, it does a strength 4 hit on D6 models, so they all got out of the forest. Everyone else starts moving up. The Spearmen march right up with the Dreadlord in the middle. The Hydras march up along with them. And the Knights kind of move up behind the Hydra because I don't want them hit by the chariots. Because I'd rather hit the chariots than be hit by them. Because all those impact hits will be bad news for my Knights. Magic phase. 6 dice. The channel intent for the Tomb Kings and for the Dark Elves. Now we're going to cast Pit of Shades. Basically you do a small blast, it's an initiative check, or you're removed from play. You just die. Sorcerer's casting it on the Tomb Guard. She rolls off. She does miscast, but it does go off. So we place a small template on them. Then it scatters 5 inches over and hits the skeletons. I believe it hits about 16 or 17 here. But he makes a crazy amount of initiative 2 initiative checks. And then he has his regen. So he only loses 5 guys. And then the miscast does a small blast on myself, strength 10. Which kills 4 of my own crossbows and wounds my sorceress. So another wonderful magic phase, and they have to do a panic check, which they pass. The crossbows then shoot at the Tomb Guard. They've got tons of shots, because their crossbows are great. They only actually do 1 wound, though, which is enough to kill one of those one of the Tomb Guards. Tomb Kings turn 1. They start off with finding out what kind of forest it is. It's just a regular forest. The Necro Sphinx charges my Hydra in the flank. Now he's flying, and he actually makes this charge. So he hits the Hydra in the flank, which won't make a big difference because it is a monster. He backs up his chariots because he doesn't want me to charge them. He wants to be able to flank the rest of my army, and gets the Tomb Kings ready, or Tomb Guard ready to flank when I run into his knight or his main army. He rolls off, gets 8 power dice. The Dark Elves do channel 1, and the Tomb Kings do not. Soul Blight is -1 toughness. Now he's actually going to cast this, the upgraded version, so it's -1 toughness on every model within 24 inches. So it's basically going to hit almost my entire army. He throws this off. It does go off, but my sorceress does dispel it. So we do not lose toughness. Then he does desiccation, -1 strength and toughness. And it can be cast into combat being a hex. So he casts it on my Hydra. And it goes off. So the Hydra is -1 strength and toughness for this turn. The archers on the back of the chariots fire away. They do nothing. The Hydra gets to attack first, along with the handler that's on the left there. Lots of attacks, but that thing's toughness 8, so even the Hydra needs 6s to wound it. But they do actually get 1 wound. It attacks back. The red dice there is a heroic killing blow, so it could in theory kill my Hydra in one fell swoop. But he does only do 1 wound with his attacks. Then the Hydra fails its leadership check. He goes to overrun, and the Hydra gets overrun. So turn 1, the Hydra's dead right there, and he overruns right into my Dreadlord and the Spearman unit that's there. So that's the top of the board at the end of turn 1. Not looking good for the High or Dark Elves, but it is still early. Dark Elves turn 2. We've got the Cold Ones testing for stupidity, which they pass. The Hydra charges for the Tomb Kings in the middle, makes it just barely, runs right in there. The crossbows try to do a reform but fail, so they just march right out. The Cold Ones, they kind of back up and get ready to either have to dodge or fight that Sphinx. And then the magic phase comes up. Channel for the Dark or the Tomb Kings, but not for the Elf. And then we try and do Enfeeble on the Necro Sphinx to minus D3 strength from it. Fails to cast, and so she can't cast. And then the crossbow starts shooting at the Tomb Guard again. They get 1 wound, and he fails that one as well. So eventually they'll kill them if they just shoot. Here we have the Beastmasters with the Hydra attacking the Skeletons. Now they're actually weapon skill 6 when the Tomb Prince or Tomb King is in that unit, so they only get a few hits, but they do manage to kill 1. Then the Skeletons, or the Tomb King attacks back. Now he's got an additional 2 attacks, and do believe he does 2 wounds to the Hydra there. Now the Hydra gets to attack with his breath weapon in addition to his normal. So his breath weapon's only strength 3 now, and that kills another 3 skeletons. Then he attacks with his 7 base attacks, re-rolling to hit. He gets 4 wounds, they get 4 regens, and they fail all 4, so 4 more skeletons die. And then the actual skeleton horde gets to attack back. Now we give an additional row to the left and the right, because that's where the Beastmasters technically are. I just don't like using them because they're a pain to actually move around. So the Hydra takes another wound just from the massive amount of attacks. And he tries to Thunderstomp the Prince. Gets a bunch of wounds, but the Prince is actually toughness 5, so he only actually does 2. Oh no, he hits the unit. Necro Sphinx goes up against the Dreadlord. Dreadlord attacks first, 3s to hit, 6s to wound, because the thing is toughness 8. But he does manage to do 2 wounds anyway. The rest of the few spearmen on the side there trying to attack, they get nothing, and then it attacks the unit. Hits, kills, 3 Dark Elves go down, and then he gets to Thunderstomp and stomps another 5, which kills another 4 of them. Oh, only 2, my mistake, it's different numbers. So they lose combat, but they pass their leadership, and then they fail the test to try and face it. Tomb Kings turn 2, the Tomb Guard flank charge the Hydra, and the Chariots move up. Now he was getting ready because he wanted to be just a little bit further away so he could charge me. Magic Phase, doesn't get much, but he does channel. And now he's going to use Soul Blight again to -1 toughness. And like before, he's going to try and cover it so everyone in my army hits with -1 toughness. And he does get a Irresistible, so I can't stop it, but he gets a miscast and blows up his own unit like I did. He only loses 3 guys, and they can come back. The Chariots fire their arrows into the Cold Ones again, get a few shots, but nothing happens. The Hydra's Beastmasters attack. They only get 1 hit, no wounds, and then the Tomb Guard all get to attack, and this Hydra's in trouble. They get a few wounds. He fails 2 of his saves, or all of his saves, because it's -2 his armor, and loses 2 more wounds, so he's dead right there. The Tomb Kings just kind of face forward because they're going to get ready because they know that those Dark Elves are going to be coming, or if they can kill the Dark Elves flanking them while fighting that Necro Sphinx. The Elves attack back against the Necro Sphinx, get a few hits, few wounds. I think they did 1 there. The Dreadlord did it, and then the Sphinx attacks back and kills another group of Dark Elves. Thunderstomps for 2 more. And kills another 2. So this time though, we did actually win combat because he didn't kill that many and didn't have the bonus from the charge this time. We have a standard that actually gives him an additional +1 to combat resolution. So here we are at the bottom of turn 2. The Dark Elves, now they've lost both their Hydras and their Spearmen are trapped in that fight, and the Sorceress really hasn't done anything, but there's still a lot of them left. So we'll see how this goes. Now stay tuned for part 2 of this Warhammer Fantasy Battleport.